Have you ever been in a situation where there's someone in your world, maybe at work or in your group of friends, that you just have to deal with? But for some reason you can't quite put your finger on, they just rub you the wrong way? It's like your personalities are oil and water. They just don't mix. You try to be polite, you try to find common ground, but every interaction feels a little off, a little forced. It's draining and takes the joy out of the experiences shared by the two of you. You're trying your best, you're being yourself, but no matter what you do, you can just feel that you're not clicking with them. They seem uncomfortable around you, and you have no way of explaining it so that people would understand. You might ask yourself, is there something wrong with me? Or try to find the fault with them. Now let's take this entire complex situation and place it into the context of adoption. Imagine being a child, and from the very beginning, for no particular reason, you just don't seem to be compatible with the people raising you. It's not that they're bad people, and it's not that you're a bad kid. It's just a fundamental mismatch. This isn't about a rebellious teenage phase or a simple disagreement over chores. This is a deep instinctual feeling that you don't quite fit, that you're speaking a different emotional language. This experience is a reality for many adoptees, and it is something the world avoids acknowledging or facing. It's an incredibly isolating and confusing place to be, for both the child and the adoptive parents. You're living under the same roof. You share a last name, but you feel like strangers. The isolation makes you feel like a guest in the family that is raising you, that you can be sent away at any moment. As the child, you feel like a mistake, a broken person that everyone will discard, while the parents feel like they're failures or that the choice to adopt was a mistake. Understanding the complex reality of human connection and that, yes, there are times when for no particular reason people are just not compatible. This is why blind adoption, adoptions where adoptive parents have no prior connections or interactions with the child before they adopt, are so fraught with the very real reality of incompatibility of personality and of being. Developing a pathway of pre-adoption interaction with the infant or child being placed is a great place to start. But as this isn't a likelihood in the world that is adoption, then simple awareness is a great place to begin healing and working together to create a healthy way forward for everyone involved.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening all, it's Bear here. I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, A Box with No Lid. A channel I'm creating not just to bring the awareness around the lived reality of trauma or complex trauma, removal trauma, the world that is adoption and the world that is foster care, but I really want to bring forward what I've learned through my own personal journey as I am an adoptee, and also my many years as an advocate and as a practitioner, all with this simple hope that yes, it's to expand awareness and understanding around the structures that adoption creates, the difficulties and healing and process. But I also want to help you guys maybe find some answers. Some of the things that I say, maybe they can provide the information that you need to put your own puzzle together, to find what you need to build and heal and create the life you so rightly and justly deserve. Now, this video is a challenging one to convey because it's been at the core of decades of advocacy around understandings around adoption and placement, whether adoption or foster care and long-term placement, is what happens when there is a personality clash between the infant or young child and the people they are placed with. What that creates in reinforcement of survival, reinforcement of removal, reinforcement of pre-verbal early childhood and developmental trauma is huge. Because the majority of children that either move forward through the system have their records lost or are placed up for adoption, their records are deliberately, destroyed, separated. The whole purpose of adoption is to separate a child from their biological past and create a new one with the adopted family. That history is never brought forward. The adoptive parents or the placements are never given the information they need to truly understand where this child has come from, not just in their own short life, but also epigenetically, intergenerationally, what has come with them, to understand how to negotiate and work with that child. And there's never time for interactions prior to placement so that you can spot, is there not a compatibility issue? Within the world that is adoption, everything focus, all the organizations focus on placement. Their profitability comes from successful placement. Successful placement is not that the placement works, it's that the document is signed, the kid's handed over, and they're done. There is no follow-up. There is nothing beyond that. That is all on the adoptive parents to work out. And the adoptive parents so often are fed a complete fallacy about what the adoption experience will be, because these companies actively want to prosper from placement. There are government incentives, and they also have quotas to meet, put forward by the departments of child welfare within government. They need to have so many successful placements for them to be funded. And this creates the whole ecology of oil and water. So what is it like growing up with, adoptive parents where you're just incompatible? It's not their fault, it's not your fault. Your personalities just clash. I can tell you from personal experience, it sucks. It opens the door to a plethora of abuses and neglect and abandonment. It destroys your childhood. It destroys your ability to learn how to interact and engage, because at your core base of a home is not safe. And the reinforcement of pre-verbal and early childhood trauma gets so embedded within your neurological structure because home is not safe. Home is a threat. There are many adults out there, I know, you get to a place where you just hate coming home. That's to relationships. For relationships, you can find paths out, you can end. There are paths for divorce, but in adoption, there isn't. Yes, an adoptee can seek a path of annulment of adoption, but that process is very, very new, very, very expensive. And your ability to pursue that, to hire lawyers to go through that process and go through the courts, you've already lived your childhood in that household and the damage is done. And society needs to understand that the reason so many adoptions fail, a large component of it are for the many reasons of the different videos that I'm posting, in sequence now. And one of these reasons is oil and water. It is just that you don't get along. It's not something that can be changed. There are people that you just don't connect with. They're from in indigenous, they're from a different clan. You don't connect with them. You don't relate. You speak different emotional languages. You have different emotional priorities. But the understanding needs to be there of what happens when a child is placed, and that happens. Because not only do the adoptive parents' emotional needs and their ideas around what they would gain from adoption never get met, you have the added complexity of this antagonistic feeling between both parties, the child and the adults. Yes, one would hope that the adults would be, I'm an adult, I need to grow past this and understand this and try to work with this. But we're human beings. We don't live in an ideal world, and 9 times out of 10 that doesn't happen. There's either the martyrdom thing where we'll whole sacrifice and that still plays into harm, or there is I will make the child do what I want, plays into harm. And when that doesn't happen, the child is put to one side, put in rooms built below the rest of the house with a trapdoor on the floor, put in bassinets behind couches, put in corners, ignored and forgotten, and humiliated by adoptive parents having to justify the reasons why they're not connected to the child they're raising. They make it the child's fault. One of the primary motivations for me making this channel and the adoption side of this channel is to show the world that it's not our fault. We didn't choose our circumstances. We didn't choose to be relinquished or removed. We didn't choose to be placed. We didn't choose and have no say in who we were placed with. We had no control over our childhoods. We were a commodity, an object, and we were just placed. Yes, there are adoptions where adoptions have worked 100%. And those are where adoptive parents have approached it in the right way and learned the child, or they built a relationship with that child before choosing to adopt. They've come from the foster care system, or in wherever they work, they've been exposed to children in the system and have built a bond, a connection. That whole oil and water thing has never happened. So take a moment and just think about the consequence of personality clash, but in a way where you're a child being placed in the family that's raising and your personality clashes with theirs, and what that's like. There is solutions to it, but the solutions this world won't look at because, as I said, it's about having more interactions between prospective adoptive parents and infants and children to see that. Will the infant accept them, or is the infant pushing away? Will they learn each other? There are ways, but that's time, and time in the system is money, and it doesn't work. So the best case scenario is understand that it's not our fault. It is not necessarily the adoptive parents' fault, though their response is it can be. They're the adults, we're the child. It's understanding that oil and water don't mix, and some personality types don't connect. And in the cases of adoption and foster care, that is a real reality that society needs to understand. I really hope you guys get this video and value it. And as always, I love you guys' comments and feedback. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And, be mindful and respectful in the comments. And I'll see you all next time.